So we are now in the season that is the pre-monsoon, which is the end of the summer and just before the main rains start hitting us full force. You can see they kind of start gathering storm from the southwest, and then they come and just whoosh against the house full force for the next 2 or 3 months. What can I tell you about the pre-monsoon? It's magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. Sometimes much more of terrifying, because it's filled usually with thunder and lightning. It's really, really spectacular, but also you need to stay all away from the windows. And of course, if you're stuck outdoors in a lightning storm, that's potentially really bad news, and people die. A few people die every year hit by lightning. So I'm in the stage where I'm preparing a lot of things to get ready for the monsoon. That includes blocking some of the areas from where I know water has been getting in. Right there is a ventilation air hole which lets hot air out of the building in the summer, but in the monsoon the rain just comes from that direction, turns right around the turret, and then is delivered into the building in a fine spray mist, like all the time. So it wets the floor there, makes it slippery, it's a hazard. So I've just put an impermeable skin on top of that. It's a temporary thing which I'll just take out again once the rains have gone. Ditto these 3 things. So though the openings are angled downwards, the wind is so strong that it just whips the rain up and into the room behind it and completely drenches it. This is another opening I've needed to block because just way too much water gets into that balcony. I've had a lot of areas here waterproofed again, just renewed the waterproofing and put some better stuff on it. Like this turret was very, very leaky. So I've had that redone, covering bits of the building with really unsightly bits of tarpaulin. So my brother Sanjeev and I did that together, and then got people in to tighten the knots. I have my anxieties about that, but hopefully it'll be net positive. And you see this really nice tarp. That was sent by my brother Pradeep's in-laws, Marthe and Michelle, in France. They use it kind of as a sunshade in the summer, but Marthe thought it might be helpful in the rains here, basically to shelter the door that's behind there. Rusting, gates, grills, etc. I've had them painted, staked some of the plants in the garden, which are a bit reedy and won't really stand up against the wind, and I don't want them to be falling down and dying or blowing away. Checking a lot of drainage channels, making sure that everything is open and clear so that all that water that's going to be coming down from the sky for the next few months will be able to flow away without getting blocked or causing landslip. Checking the ends of pipes where Chris has fitted steel mesh. So just making sure that there hasn't been gunk accumulated in there, so that if there is water that needs to flow out, it can flow out easily. Topping up the solar batteries, because the next few months will just be, even grey is, I think, being kinder to it than it is, because it's pretty much dark and black for much of the next few months. So there's very little light to be had from the sky. So what light there is, what the panels can capture, I need to make sure that my batteries are able to store and dispense so that I can survive without too much of a problem. And the other thing I've done is cleaned the primary filter, put in a whole bunch of new sand and gravel there. So all of the water which is captured from that entire terrace area goes into the primary filter, goes through these levels of sand and gravel, and then into a large storage tank that holds about 45,000 litres of water. And soon, once the rains set in, just in the early stages when the earth gets nice and cool after the thirst of the summer, I will do some more planting. That's always good fun. So what to expect in the monsoon? An absence of shadows because there's no sunshine. Power outages, even though we're on solar. Things short, things happen that I don't understand, so it involves a lot of calling around to make all of that good. Very heavy skies, screeching winds, which actually I find really frightening. things falling over, trees, things in the garden, outside the house, leaks because water finds its way into the house somehow, just because the rain is being driven horizontally at such high speed that even just the smallest weakness in the wall structure means water gets in. Leeches, yes, so much blood being drunk from one's body by these little creatures. Slippery floors, that's always a problem. Muddy floors too, because the minute you set foot outside, it's just muddy everywhere, and that gets traipsed back into the house, so there's much mopping to be done. Yeah, landslides. And then there's a risk of flooding, of being marooned, of roads below the house being washed away, of not being able to reach help, and of help not being able to reach us. Snakes, scorpions trying to find their way into the house to try and stay warm and dry as their pits or whatever they live in collapse. Oh, there's probably 100 things I've forgotten to tell you about basic pre-monsoon preparedness and about the terrors of the monsoon. But suffice it to say, it's a beautiful season, very dramatic, but a very frightening season. At least after so many monsoons now, I'm figuring out that it will end. However frightening and however relentless it feels, it will end. So I've learned just to hold on tight, keep the faith, and wait for the sun to come out again.